Welcome to another special HornbillTV explainer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Almuli. There is a wise saying that society uses about words and action. Look before you leap. Think before you speak. The moral is, in this case, careless actions can scar a person for life in various ways. Ruined self-esteem and a traumatized life. There is a reason why false accusation is a crime even 2000 years later, when the first rules were framed in regard to how we treat each other. You can check out section 193 of the Indian Evidence Act. One of the trending conversations during the past few years in India, notably from 2010 in India across the mainstream media and the judicial systems, especially also the enforcement areas to the police, especially the Indian judiciary and the enforcement, is the topic of women falsely accusing men of rape or sexual assault. In fact, the number of rape cases and the numbers that were found to be false rape cases and false rape cases that were found to be false by the Delhi Women's Commission itself, even in 2014, was so high. The national news house India Today called false rape or sexual assault accusation as a trend among Indian women. But even before that, in 2017, the BBC itself had written reports wondering if false sexual assault and false rape cases in India had become a trend in India after the infamous 2012 gang rape of a student on a bus in Delhi, the Nirbhaya rape case. The number of rape cases reported to the police rose sharply. A survey that took place during that time and that was concluded during 2013 and 14 say that more than half of these reports were actually false. In most cases, the person accusing men, the accused women, often leveled false accusations of sexual assault, or more commonly, false accusations of rape with malicious intent. Their intent was to harm the man's reputation or to just hit him back at where it hurts. False accusations for monetary gain, property, money, and some accused men of false rape, or they falsely accuse them of raping them for revenge for being rejected or being cheated in romantic relationships, etc., etc., etc. You can check out data and news records in this regard. In India, police establishments and high courts, from the Delhi High Court to the Allahabad High Court to the Supreme Court, have begun taking notes. We'll be discussing what the courts and the police are saying later in this explainer. Indian courts have started issuing statements against this phenomenon, which had historically prosecuted innocent men and jailed them for years or even life. That the courts and the police have started noticing this serious trend indicates the rapid increase in the number of false rape and sexual assault accusations in India, and of course even in the United States if you read up. In fact, even in South Korea, just a few months ago, authorities started a crackdown on people who falsely accuse people of rape or sexual assault, especially women who falsely accuse men of sexual assault. The fact that the apex courts have started expressing worry about how men whose lives are ruined by false rape accusations, while most of the women walk out free without any action taken against them, says that something is definitely wrong here. The Indian police establishments and the Indian courts have started to comment on this serious issue, and this can be linked to growing activism by NGOs, human rights groups, men's rights groups, and the emergence of data and studies projecting the number of false cases that men are implicated falsely by women with malicious intent. Further, the emergence of the social media platform X, formerly Twitter, as a staunch defender and promoter of free speech, has also started bringing to light criminal data in this regard. In other words, rape and sexual assault had always been given a lot of media space, and it offered a lot of moral catharsis for societies and especially women. But the liberal media may have ignored the other side of the story too. You must be aware of the Thomas Kennedy case, ladies and gentlemen. He was accused of rape by his own daughter on several occasions, and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. But after 9 long years, his daughter confessed that the physical pieces of evidence that jailed Thomas were actually caused by an elementary school boy she was having relationships with during that time. In other words, she accused her own father of raping her falsely. It's not just women accusing men, it's sometimes women against women. Take the case of Nora Wall, the Irish Catholic nun who was wrongfully accused of rape in June 1999. She was convicted to a life sentence, but then served only 4 days when evidence emerged to say otherwise. Again, just recently in 2021, take the case of Mr. Vishnu Tiwari, who is now about 43 years old, who was jailed when he was 23 for a crime he never committed. After serving a life sentence for 20 years in jail over false rape charges, the Allahabad High Court released him. This explainer is just too confining for us to get a full picture of this trend to truly appreciate the number of false rape or false sexual assault cases and accusations against men in India. Available data can better illustrate this phenomenon. Let's start from the early second decade of the millennium here. India today reported what appeared to be a trend among women filing false rape cases during 2014. The cases were exposed when the Delhi Commission of Women itself revealed shocking statistics. The statistics were that 53.2% of all rape cases that were filed between April 2013 and July 2014 in Delhi alone were found to be false. Totally false. The report says that between April 2013 and July 2014, of the about 2,753 complaints of alleged rape, only 1,287 cases were found to be true. The remaining 1,464 cases were found to be false. And strangely, the Delhi Commission of Women stated that revenge emerged to be the most common reason for the women filing a false complaint of rape or sexual assault in this regard. The DNA also reported this. In fact, the acquittal rate was as high as 78%. This again is a huge 22% increase, not 1 or 2 or 7 or 8, but 22% increase from the previous 46% of acquittal in 2012 from the cases. The records and acquittal states were so the records and acquittal statistics were so shocking that the then member of the National Commission of Women in India, the member Shamina Shafiq herself, said that the revelation was quite unfortunate. She was surprised. She said, "It is sad that people are misusing the rape laws to settle scores, while there are so many women out there who have nowhere to turn to in genuine cases, in genuine rape or sexual assault cases." So she said, how will they, that means people facing, women facing genuine rape cases, how will they gather the courage if false cases turn out to be the trend in India? As recently as 2021, the Delhi High Court expressed worry at what it considered an alarming increase of false rape cases and implication of men in these false cases. The High Court said such cases were registered only to arm twist the accused and make them succumb to the demands of the complainant. It could be for property, for money, for revenge. So these women were implicating men in false sexual assault cases. The Delhi High Court said false claims and allegations of molestations and false claims of rape need to be dealt with an iron hand due to the serious nature of the offenses. The court stated that such litigations are instituted by dishonest people in the hope that the other party will cede to their demands out of fear or out of shame. Unless these wrongdoers are not made to face the consequences of their actions, the High Court warned in its judgment it would be difficult to prevent such litigations. Again, just in 2023, recently the Allahabad High Court observed that the Indian society is changing, and now it is being observed more and more that false implication in sexual offenses in India is on the rise. The person who was accused of rape in this case said that the alleged victim had leveled allegations of rape in retaliation for exposing a so-called gunman. Thankfully, not all of these false cases convict innocent people. Just several months ago, in October, the court punished a woman in Madhya Pradesh with 10 years of rigorous imprisonment for filing a false rape case against her own relative. The convict, the woman, Seema Bai, was found guilty of trying to falsely implicate her nephew-in-law in order to seize property. Not only did the court find that the accusation was false, she also produced wrong evidence. The woman was immediately taken into police custody following the verdict of the court. Likewise, just in March the previous year, the Haryana police arrested a 22-year-old woman for falsely accusing two men of gang raping her, and then she proceeded to extort 2 lakh rupees from them to withdraw her complaint. The woman was said to be working as a web designer with a Noida-based private media management company. According to the police, the woman filed rape complaints against the 2 men. She then extorted from them 2 lakh. It should interest you that just a few months before this case, in January the previous year, the Director General of Jaipur Police, Umesh Mishra, himself said 45% of rape cases registered the year before in Rajasthan, 45% were found to be false. While the number of rape cases registered in Rajasthan was high, yes, in 2021 and 2022, he said, it was found that as high as 42% in 2021 and even higher at 45% in 2022 were all false cases. During investigation, it was found. In August 2023, the Supreme Court of India said people accused of rape must be protected against the possibility of being falsely implicated or falsely judged. We have all heard about men who were accused of rape or sexual assault falsely and spending years and years losing their life in prisons, only later for them to emerge and to be told that the cases were false. The apex court said that once the complainant in a rape case decides to proceed against the accused with an ulterior motive for wreaking personal vengeance, so and so, etc., the person accused should ensure that the FIR and the complaint is very well drafted with all the necessary response. While it is great that genuine victims of rape and sexual assault who suffered are finding the courage to open up about their very intimate and painful details of their lives, this again, however, has also created a culture that can foster false allegations against men. The court warned that rape causes the greatest distress and humiliation to the victim, but at the same time, the court said, a false allegation of rape can cause equal distress, humiliation and damage to the accused person as well. That's what the court said. The accused must also be protected against the possibility of false implication, particularly where a large number of accused persons are involved in the case. That's what the court said. It is true that rape can drastically change, ruin, and destroy a woman's life. But it is equally true also that false cases can ruin a man's life too. The reason is the idea of sexual offenses correlates with the question of personal character, reliability, and morality, the destruction of the man's dignity, the expenses in terms of his esteem and his dignity is very high. A Delhi court said also earlier that women making false rape allegations to settle personal scores need to be prosecuted and punished stringently. It said that such matters cause intense misery and humiliation to the accused person, which continues even after that person being acquitted in the case. While acquitting 2 Delhi youths from the charges of gang rape in 2014, the additional sessions judge Virender Bhatt directed the court staff to lodge a complaint against the woman for making false allegations. The court said it is very difficult, nay impossible, to restore the lost honor and dignity of a rape accused after his acquittal from the court. They are never compensated for the emotional distress, humiliation, and the damage they suffered because of the false allegations. That what the judge said. Rape and sexual assault and exploitation, sexual exploitation are real issues across the world, especially in India. But it should not neglect the fact that false cases and accusations are equally serious, especially for the accused people in this regard. The reason is this: both issues, rape or false rape accusations, involve mental and emotional trauma that could be lifelong and damages the growth of the person's potential to contribute meaningful to the society, and it damages their lives. Both the rapist and the false rape accuser should be stringently prosecuted and equally. Thank you for watching Hornbill TV. I'm Al Nguli. See you next time.